About 2 weeks ago, my wife, our 10-year-old daughter, and I moved into a new house. My wife found a house. It was well below the average asking price for such real estate. We were a bit suspicious if it was a fraud, but the agency selling it explained that people were afraid of the house. Locals claim the house is haunted and paranormal stuff constantly happens there. So basically, if you're not superstitious, you can buy a nice home for dirt cheap. And that's exactly what we did. Upon arriving and unloading our stuff, I noticed the usual ghost story issues with the house. Doors were creaking, floorboards made spooky noises, and the lights often flickered. Being a do-it-yourself enthusiast, I saw no problem with such issues. By the first week, I've already replaced all the faulty wiring, swapped all the fuses, and lubricated all the door hinges. My wife jokingly called me a ghost buster as I got rid of the creak that our bedroom door was making. There were still some floorboards up in the attic that I couldn't make silent, but I figured that can wait. One night, just as I was preparing for bed, I heard creaks from the upstairs. There was nothing there but an attic, where we put some of our boxes that we didn't sort out yet. I figured it was probably a stray cat that was hiding there. More sounds were heard, and that couldn't have been a cat. I walked upstairs to check, but I was also trying to be quiet as to not wake my wife up or our daughter, who was sleeping in the room next to us. I walked up to the attic, turned the light on, and it burned. Around me was absolute silence. I looked around, focusing on dark corners, but I saw nothing and felt nothing but dust. I decided to go back downstairs and go to sleep. I figured I'll do a thorough check tomorrow, during daytime. The next day I inspected the attic. I didn't find anything out of the ordinary, but I also didn't find any holes nor entrances where a cat or any other animal could sneak in. Rather than thinking I was hearing things, I'm assuming that it was the sound of wood stretching due to age or temperature. The bulb was broken in a way that I couldn't replace it without removing the whole installation, and I had more important things to attend to at the moment. The next night, as we were sleeping, I was awakened by footsteps from above. I got up to investigate. This time I prepared a flashlight. I walked up to the attic, and as I opened the door, I heard a terrifying voice. I stopped in place, frozen in terror. I looked around, but I saw nothing. I wasn't even sure where the sound came from. I then heard laughing. It came from above. I pointed my flashlight and saw a box on the shelf. I stepped on a stool and I grabbed the box that was on the top shelf. In the box there was a toy dog. It was one of those toys that can reproduce sounds you record, but it also had some pre-recorded sounds it came with. I was relieved more than I'm willing to admit. I turned the toy off and I chucked it back in the box and went back to sleep. My wife made breakfast for us the next morning. As I was absent-mindedly eating eggs, I noticed my daughter playing with the toy dog I saw last night. I asked her where she got it from, as I knew she couldn't reach the shelf. She said she found it in her room. My wife looked at me somewhat confused and said she thought I gave her the toy. Maybe I brought it downstairs with me after all. I don't know, I guess I forgot. The following evening, I heard our daughter playing in her room. I went to kiss her goodnight, but as I opened the door, I saw her sleeping. The familiar... The toy dog was sitting on the cupboard. It was obviously broken, so I decided it's probably the best idea to take out the batteries so it wouldn't wake my daughter up. I opened the battery compartment, but there weren't any batteries inside. I removed the toy dog, I took it out on the balcony. I will inspect it tomorrow. The next morning, while drinking coffee with my wife, I explained the bizarre situation with the toy dog. She found it odd as she doesn't remember buying that toy, and she confirmed she also heard some creepy noises. We agreed we'd find a replacement toy for our daughter and get rid of this one. While my wife and daughter were out shopping, I was burning some wood in the yard. I threw the toy dog in the fire. When they got home, my wife and daughter showed me the new stuffed animal they bought. It was a very basic stuffed toy, no electronics in it. My daughter seemed to be happy with it. Mr. Rabbit, she named it. That evening, as I went to kiss my daughter goodnight, she said she wanted to ask me something. She was a bit hesitant, but then she said, "Daddy, why did you burn my dog? How do you know? Why would you think I burnt it?" "Mr. Rabbit told me you did it." Excuse me? "Yes, he knows all about it." I looked around and asked, "Where is Mr. Rabbit, honey?" "He's up with his friends," she said, and she pointed upstairs. I could feel the hair on my back stand up. I asked my daughter to show me where exactly. She led me up to the attic. I slowly opened the door and then I heard it. I grabbed my daughter and ran downstairs. I shouted to my wife, who got up from hearing the commotion, to not go anywhere near the attic. I then heard laughter from upstairs. I took a baseball bat, went back and slowly opened the attic door. I looked around, saw nothing, but then when I looked above, up on the shelf, Mr. Rabbit was sitting there right next to the toy dog. I turned around, slammed the door shut, and decided it was enough. We were moving out tomorrow. My wife and I packed and we moved out the following day.